This is the first video on text in InDesign. Now, text in InDesign, you can really actually link in external documents. So say you wrote your entire story in Word, you could go ahead and embed that. We're not going to do that. We're going to work very simply for our purposes. Right? So I select the text tool. That's our first thing, right? Now, unlike Illustrator where I could just click, right? If I just click, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't make any type of point text in InDesign. Everything has to be within a frame, just like the images all have to be within a frame, right? So I click and I can drag whatever size text I want, right? Now I've already cut and pasted some lorem ipsum text, so I'm going to go ahead and add this in. Now, one thing I will say about working with text, and this is a quick tip, is you actually don't ever want to return as a thing, and I'll talk about that later. But let's ignore that for a second. So you'll see I have this text box here, right? And it's too long for this little symbol right here will let you know that it is cut off in some way, right? Now, text frames have all the same capacities again of any shape in Illustrator. Or in InDesign, right? You can change, or they're basically the same Illustrator, right? We can change that, and it will reflow, right? I can grab this, right? Change the shape of the text, right? Same, I can, as with the circle image, right? I can create a circle and fill it with text, right? One thing that you should really know is that, again, you don't want text to be cut off, so it gives you this little thing here, right? So you might want to link to text frames. So in this case, I drew a new text frame, and I'm going to go ahead and deselect everything. Click on that, and you'll see this little symbol, this like anchor symbol, come up, right? And so now I'll click in there, right? And I've gone ahead and you'll notice how that they're linked, right? One flows right into the other. As I change this one, and this one needs to pull more, it will go ahead and take it out. Next, we have to look at the characteristics of these text boxes and what we can do with it. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this one just for confusion, because sometimes when you have a lot length, it can act a little squirrely. That's just a forewarning. But let's say I wanted to put a background color on this and change my text to white. Well, I'd go to color. Now, color is a little fancy in InDesign and text frames. So you notice there's two boxes right here. This, which is the container, and this, which is the text, right? So if I selected the text, right, you'll see that I'm affecting the text over here by changing this, right? And if I don't want it in black and white, I can go over here and change it to CMYK, but I don't need to do that. Actually, let me go ahead and set my text to white, right? And it's like, oh no, I need a color on my background. So I'm going to go ahead over here, selected my container, and I've made it black, right? Now here's the problem. We're going to talk about error in classes coming up. You never want text to come and hit the edge like this, right? This is terrible. This is not air. We need air because this looks sloppy, and we need a way to fix that. Luckily, there are TextFrame Options, which is Command B, which is obviously what I always use, but we can go into Object, TextFrame Options, and here we can see we have a bunch of things that we can play with. What we're interested for the case of cleaning up this air, right, is adding right, you should have Preview selected so you can see what's happening, right? Seeing how much air we add to the outside of a frame, right? And so I'm going to probably usually suggest the amount of air of, well, if you're working with a grid, it's different, but for just general use, like maybe about as much inset as how big your text is would look good. And you see, there's also other things we can do. We can create columns here. So if I wanted to, and I don't know what I did there, invalid entry, right? I can add more columns. I can change the width of the gutter to be more or less, right? If I wanted to change the width, so it would have to be a different version of a thing, right? And last is vertical justification, which we're not really going to see here. Why don't I go ahead and go and erase a bunch of things here so that we could actually see that in action, because this is one that's actually pretty useful and interesting, right? So let's say I have this for whatever reason, and I wanted to change this. Right now, by default, text starts up top, right? But we can do other things. Center it. I guess I have an extra. I probably have an extra line there. So there we go. Now it'll maybe be a little more obvious, right? See how it's centered perfectly based on how much type is there, right? And if I change sizes, it'll always make sure to try to decenter. I can have it start from the bottom, right? And there's probably some space after or something. Right? justify you're probably not going to use, right? But that's something to know. All the rest are probably a little more too complex for our course. But right, we can go ahead and set text that way. Now, that's a lot for text. I'm going to go ahead and break this into another video.